all right. Welcome back.
All right.
Welcome back.
It's official, kind of real first episode of season 2 of the Shards and Shenanigans podcast.
Yeah, exciting. Welcome back, everybody. Cool. Yeah, good to have you back in the fold.
Thanks for joining us, or if this is your first time, thanks for coming along.
Yeah, thanks for checking it out.
So we are going through today, hopefully, chapters 1 through 5. So in the past, we would do maybe 1, 2, and on occasion, maybe 3 chapters, depending on how short they were in season 1. This season, we're going to try to squeeze in a few more chapters into each episode if we can, especially it seems like, at least at the start of this book, the chapters are a little shorter. So should hopefully let us rip through these. That's, I think, benefits us on the podcast and production side, but should hopefully benefit you guys as well, giving you a little more to read each week as we push out these episodes instead of reading a chapter at a time and then just kind of waiting monotonously for us to get our act together.
Yeah. Well, and hopefully y'all enjoy this, and we look forward to some feedback. If you got any, please, feel free to hit us up in the socials and everything like that. We love the engagement. So, it's a iterative and collaborative process. So we look forward to that interaction with our fans. Thank you.
So, haven't said this in a while, but we're going to jump in with a snack.
Oh, it's time for a snack. Yeah, let's hit it. It's a little snack. This is a little one, but it's good. Yeah, it's exciting. I like it.
It is exciting. So, we are in part 1, The Heir of the Survivor, and this is in The Well of Ascension in the Mistborn trilogy. So, chapter 1, I write these words in steel, for anything not set in metal cannot be trusted. And so when we first were talking about this, you were pretty excited about this snack.
Yeah, I got pretty excited, in lack of, or without the desire for any kind of, any kind of spoilery stuff. Yeah, I'm just excited. I think I'm happy to be back. I think it's an interesting thing, an interesting concept, writing something in steel. I mean, to me, what does that mean? It just asks a lot of good questions, and it's just one sentence.
Right.
So I think that's what's really exciting about it. To me, it's just kind of ominous. It's creating questions. I think it's creating this breadcrumb situation again, and that's that is mind titillating for me. I want to see what's going on with this. How do you feel? What's the vibe you're getting?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely, obviously, we know that metal is basically the magic system here, right? Everything for someone who is a magic user, someone who is a Mistborn or a Mistine, they put a lot of stock in metal, and so for someone to say something like this, it just kind of seems like it's along those lines and those beliefs.
Right. Yeah, everything seems to be metal related. So I guess how can you not get excited?
That's right. When
we start talking about metal, so I dig it. I'm here for it. All right. Well, it's just a little snack. I think we got to dive in.
Yeah, dive in. We'll call this one breakfast.
Yeah.
So chapter 1, pretty short chapter, but I'll recap it here. So it's been we're back in Wellllllll. It's been about a year since the Lord Ruler was killed by Vin.
Oh, a whole year.
And Straff Venture, our favorite nobleman, has raised an army of around 50,000 folks to march against Elend in Wellllllll. And so the city that we're in here in Wellllll is kind of, still teeming with life, lots of people hanging out, but and Elend has managed to scrounge up around 20,000 of his own soldiers, but obviously that's no match for a force of 50. So I think lots of tensions as we read on these couple next chapters here. Lots of tensions in the city, lots of tension with Ellen. So, and then I think just something to point out too that's occurring here: Ash is still falling.
Ash is still falling. That's right.
So the Ash mounts are still pumping, and Ash is still coming down. So we still don't necessarily know what that is all about. Didn't seem like obviously that used to be the thing, the way that Kelsier talked about the green landscape and how things used to be.
Right. So, Mare's picture of the flower and her dream for colors and stuff.
Exactly.
Totally. Yeah, so, and it says it did mention that this is a harsher black ash, and I don't know if that's just setting the tone or if that what is that. Well, he just mentioned it. It's just a little. I just kind of caught it again. So, yeah, interesting. It is interesting thing going on with the ash mounts. But yeah, we see here Ellen just sitting on the wall with Ham, which I'm here for it, right? The the think tank, as one of our listeners shared with us, which is one of my favorite things. The think tank himself, standing there with the avid reader, and the kind of political dissident. I'm excited, for that. I'm here for it.
So they're on the wall talking about their situation of the city, and Ellen basically is like, "Hey, we need to get the crew back together." And it seems like, based on context clues here, that the original crew, Kelsier's original crew, has kind of been helping Ellen run the new government. Basically, has been his go-to or his cabinet,
right,
if you will. We're still struggling, cannot find the ATM in the city. So the Lord Ruler's ATM that was part of Kelsier's plan for sure, and was kind of needed to run the city and to kind of if we've got the money, then whoever's got the money is in power, and so we're still struggling to find that. And we're talking about how Kelsier's this idea man, and it kind of seems like everyone else is struggling to form a plan. He was the man with the plan, and now he's gone, right?
Yeah,
and so everyone is kind of left in the lurch of what do we do now? So Ellen is, he is king here in the city, but there's also a group called the Assembly. And he's going to be having a meeting with them in the few days, and he's worried that this assembly, this group, is going to surrender the city or vote to surrender the city. And Ellen's he's been working on a proposal to present to them on probably why not to do that.
Right.
So I'm interested to hear more about the assembly here as we read on here in the next couple chapters. We'll hear about it. Dockson's coming back today. Spook's going to be gone for about another week. So hopefully he'll have a bigger role to play.
I hope so too.
And then no one knows where Breeze is.
Interesting.
He's
what is he up to?
Yeah, he's just he's just gone. I don't know.
Gone like a breeze in the wind.
Yeah, fart in the wind.
Yeah, exactly. I don't have yet.
So then the only other people that aren't mentioned here right away, which I think we'll see them here later. Sazed.
Yeah.
He wasn't mentioned. Oh my gosh, I just had this in my head. The Smoker.
Yeah, clubs.
Yeah, and so those are really the only people left.
You don't hear about Renew or is
or
formerly known as Renew.
So he does. We do get to see that here in just a minute. So
I think one of the things too is just the situation is they said Ellen's got about 20,000 people and Straff's vastly outnumbering him out in the front with 50K. So I think that's just kind of setting the stage, and I think then we get a nice little transition, perspective change.
Boom, 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 boom.
Yeah, it's kind of fun. Ham's where'd Vin run off to? And Ellen's I'm not sure. And then it jumps into the first. I just thought it flows really nice.
That's a good cut.
Yeah.
So we are with Vin now. She's flying through the mists, and she has essentially taken on a guard or guardianship role over Ellen. She is his main bodyguard, and she is out basically hunting the city for assassins. And she gets described here again, just so we can all remember, as barely 5 foot tall. So she's very short, and not very big at all, despite. And I think she can use that to her advantage, right? As like, oh, she's not very intimidating. What's this girl, this small little petite thing gonna do to me? But obviously she's got some tricks up her sleeves. And she's strong. She meets with Orsur in the city square. He's taken on a new form, so he's obviously not Lord Renault, because we saw him leave that body, and he's not Kelsier anymore. And he's just kind of this balding, nondescript man. And then I think the real interesting part of this chapter is Vin has been looking for someone called the Watcher. And, she thinks that maybe it's an assassin that's going to be coming after Elend. Somebody that she has chased a couple times, seen in the night, seems like maybe a full Mistborn. But based on how she describes it, it kind of seems like he's more interested in her than he is in Elend. And so they kind of wrap up there, and as she's getting returned, like she's getting ready to go back to Elend, we've got coins shooting towards her, and that's the end of the chapter, dude.
Oh man, yeah, it's exciting. Yeah, I just
quick little bite,
quick little bite, quick little recap. I just love it, man. I'm glad to be back. Vin's exactly where she needs to be, flying through the air, doing, I think what she resonates with the most in like the past book, right? She like plays this role as Vallette, but she's here in doing Mistborn stuff, doing what Kelsier trained her to do, like helped awaken it, right? Because she was it was latent powers, but she just didn't get the medal, she didn't get the opportunity to learn any of it until this relationship with Kelsier and everything. So as her like mentor, pseudo father kind of stuff. So yeah, I'm glad to see Vin back in action.
Oh yeah, it's great. That whole scene was great, and it's good to see her back, like you're saying.
Oh yeah.
So
power through snack too.
Yeah, I think we're just jumping in. That we've had a snack when we woke up. We had breakfast. Time for a little, maybe a banana or something.
Yeah, maybe we're hobbits.
I'm cramping up. Yeah. And so I need some banana. So this snack, whoever is this perspective is the perspective of a skeptic. It kind of seems like it's a flashback of who I'm thinking is now. There's 2 terrorist men outside of Sazed that we know about, right? So we had whoever outside of them. We had whoever was gonna be the Lord Ruler, right? The person that was supposed to was on this journey in Terrace. Then we had Rashek.
Yeah, the Pac-Man.
The Pac-Man, and then we also had
Quan.
What's that?
Quan.
Quan.
Yeah,
right.
He was a skeptic. I'm not really sure if this is Quan or not, but like I think he was like called back in the last book of like he thought that I was the Lord Ruler, and I think I was like the guy who was writing the passages, not Rashek, right? Because we found out that Rashek had done what he had done, replacing him at the last moment. But yeah, right. I think my guess is on Quan.
Yeah,
but I don't know.
It definitely seems like it's obviously in that vein, and talking about a legend applying to this one man. So I think it is kind of a flashback to that time, and the skeptic that maybe Quan was towards who was supposed to be this Lord Ruler.
Yeah, I feel like we got the name, but I don't want to. Yeah, I think it'll come up again. I can't remember. Yeah, it's tough, but I think you're right. Yeah, so little snack. I think it's good, but it's not as good as the first one for me. I'm ready to jump in. I want to see. I'm too invested, and definitely intentionally using that word choice. But like too invested, and we just got some coins shot in the air. Come on, let's see what's going on.
Yeah, let's go.
I think I fly through this thing.
And I'm gonna move quick through this because, as quick. You know, the fight scenes, they're good. But we try to sum them up pretty quick because if we talked about all the cool stuff in the fight scene, this podcast would be 5 hours long.
Yeah, for sure.
So we're clearly in some kind of mist fight, is what I would call it. And we don't know at first, is this a Mistborn? Is it a misting that's just a coin shot, And then we see, 8 men step out, assassins.
8 men.
She thinks that they are here for Ellen and not her, which I just think is kind of crazy because, like, she's in this, like, she's not at the castle. She's not at the keep. She is in a random square in the city, and, like, they pop out to come after her, right? Like, I think she keeps thinking that, all these people are trying to kill, and maybe some people over the last year have tried to kill Ellen, sure, but, like, who's sending, I don't know, 8 of these assassins. I don't know. It just seems like she's a little naive here.
Oh, for sure. I think that's a good point. I think it's like undervaluing herself in a way, which is very like, I think a latent undercurrent with Vin's subconscious, right? We had this like intrusive voice in the last book. I think it's like has to do with that too. So I like that catch there. It is a little naive, but yeah, it's a good fight.
It's great. We've got 4 thugs. So they're burning pewter. We got 2 coin shots, burning steel. 1 lurcher, who's burning iron. And at least 1 is a smoker, burning copper. And so that's kind of what we're presented with off the jump. And so Finn, she basically feints a jump away and lets them think that she's weak, and then she pulls out her obsidian daggers when the thugs come after her, right? So she starts slashing, and I love this part where the thug has a shield, and it's just to like stop the metals that he pulls at himself. Like, it's just like
the lurcher. That would be.
I'm sorry, the lurcher.
Yeah, so cool. Lurcher. No, I love that because he can only pull to himself, right? Which is like absolutely crazy.
It's a good skill to have, but it's just funny that he has to have like this wooden shield to like block everything that he like pulls at himself because he'll kill himself. Like, right. It's just weird.
It's a cool adaptation of using technology that like is technology and this magical power, right? It's like a fusion of the two, and it's like creative. So I like that as well. Yeah, I'm a big fan of the tactics.
So she's being attacked by these thugs to start, and she continues to fight, and she tries to get away when a new blue line appears and a coin is incoming at her. She jumps out of the way. She's confused, and the other coin shot's confused too, the one that's attacking her, and there's a dark silhouette on top of a nearby building, and it's the Watcher.
Batman.
So yeah, we don't know who it is, right? Like who is this guy? So Vin, I think this is badass. She punches a wooden cudgel here, and it shatters into pieces.
Oh yeah,
and like goes flying. I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
and
then pewter burning.
Oh yeah, she pulls on the coin shot's bag of coins and Superman in to like punch his face. Like she just like yanks herself towards him, punch him right in the face, snaps his neck. He's done. Then she hits the thug that was holding the coin shot because like as she's pulling on him, this thug grabbed on that coin shot to like keep him steady.
Right.
And so she flew at him, kicks him in the throat. Both of them are down. And the smoker, which I think is hilarious here, claps wood. Like he's got like these 2 pieces of like 2x4.
Yeah.
And he's like smacking them together, right? Like
right.
And with her enhanced senses,
the tin, yeah, right. It's gonna like
burning her tin, right? Like she's amplified and into the fight and wants to know what's going on, but obviously that those turned up volume in her ears, because of that, it's causing her pain as he's smacking pieces of wood together. And it's, I don't know, like, it's just funny that someone who is a smoker, like, that's like really
that's all they got.
Offense. Like, here, let me slap like, my sticks together.
It's just playing to like a weakness that she could have, which is just like senses, right? But otherwise, he doesn't really have a lot to offer offensively with smoking magic, you know what I mean? Like with smoking,
for sure.
Allomancy. So yeah, very good call out.
It's just funny.
Yeah.
So
he's a tough position. He's like the guy on the battlefield that has the drum or like the flag. You know, he's got to be there. He's important.
Marching towards the other line of soldiers,
armed people. Yeah, like he doesn't like. Yeah, he's not going to do a lot of fighting. Maybe.
All right, so she threw some coins at the smoker, but these lurcher pulled all the coins away, and she pushes one as he's pulling them away a little further, and it goes up and around him and lands behind him, basically. And then she pulls that one coin back through him, through his back, and kills him instantly.
Sick.
He's done. So that was sick. And so here we go. The Watcher intervenes again. He coin shots the smoker and kills the smoker. And Vin's confused. She burns bronze, and she realizes that someone else is burning copper. So that the smoker basically wasn't either the only smoker. Were there two smokers? No, it's a trap. One of them, the other coin shot that was playing dead, that she already took out, is really a Mistborn.
Yeah.
And is using, other abilities than just
the mistake.
Just using the coin shot stuff.
Right.
So Vin does some cool stuff in the interim before we get to this Mistborn to kill the remaining thugs.
She takes a couple hits though. She does. She does take some hits. I mean, it's 8 people.
She's getting injured.
Yeah. She gets slammed into stuff. She gets cut a little bit. Yeah. So she's doing her best.
She's doing her best. Which I don't know. I wanted to talk about this too. Like, it just seems like in the first book, towards the end of the first book, she handled, and maybe it was never a group of 8 Mistborns, like, Allomancers.
Yeah.
But it seemed like she did face some big groups of people, some of which were certainly, I guess, Allomancers or, Steel Inquisitors. And, like, while I don't know, it just seems like she's had a year since then, and she was also, like, already almost the best there ever was then. And, like, for her to, like, be like, oh my god, here, I'm almost dying. It kind of seems, I don't know, like, what happened, or, like, she's, not that she's degraded. Maybe we only saw her face a few opponents before.
It was less. I think 8 is the most we've ever seen in terms of like Mistang combination plus the Mistborn. Like Shan was the only fight I can think of where there were 2 Mistborn. I mean, I'm pretty sure there were 2 Mistborn in that fight, Shan and this guy, and then there was like a couple coin shots, maybe 1 thug or 2 thugs. So like still a deadly encounter. I think just this is another like deadly encounter if you're thinking of it in terms of like Dungeons and Dragons or something where this is something where she could end up dead, and she has lots of those, but I think maybe surviving one doesn't necessarily always like infer that you're gonna like survive all the others. So
sure, that's a good point. So she,
luck involved.
The Mistborn, this Mistborn that, we thought was just a coin shot before, shoots coins at Orsur, and we're like, oh, okay, like Vin will help him like here. Nope, Vin's just lets Orsur get pegged with these coins.
Like, he's down now. I care about him. I don't care about him. Yeah, that's savage.
Not at all. And instead, she just goes for the Mistborn, and like, probably this guy's obviously thinking, oh, like she'll protect this guy that she's with. No, she's flying at you. And so they get into a little ATM battle. The Mistborn's ATM runs out just before hers, and she stabs him with his own blade, and that's the last of the assassins that's down. The Watcher's still up above on his perch watching, and she we get some info here. She's chased him like a half dozen times before. Never's caught him, and he kind of flies off here too. She checks on Ursur, who's bleeding and hurt, and she never really has ever thought about him being able to bleed or feel pain. And she thinks, because like he's kind of like he brings that up to her, like, you know, hey, like, yeah, I bet you didn't think I would feel pain here, like, just because I'm not this person.
Yeah, he's kind of confrontational
behind the body. Yeah. And she goes, what right does this thing have to chastise me? And she's like just cold-blooded here, you know.
Yeah, she hates Ursur, I think. Yeah. To like,
it's very apparent as we get through this book, through these first 5 chapters, that she is not a fan.
Yeah, definitely.
Right?
She dehumanizes
this guy
him.
ate her mentor.
Well, and he's not a human. Technically, he's a conjurer, but I mean, you know, she doesn't. She chooses to treat him this way, which I think, you know, because exactly what you said. I thought that was interesting. I also thought it was interesting with Ursur. She really uses him like a tool in this as well, because he's holding the vial with the atium in it. Yeah. And she uses code where she's like, Ursur, go. And he tosses her the vial with the atium bead in it, which is really important, right? Because like misting, like a coin shot or whoever can like disconnect you from your metal vials and pouches and stuff. So, I mean, he's extremely he's valuable utility wise.
Yeah, it is
like,
valuable here.
Yeah, so she's kind of tough on him, I feel.
Well, I forgot he had to eat the bodies. That's hilarious. And then he has to memorize everything he swallowed so he can reproduce them how they were. And I really didn't think it would be like that. Like, it's obviously similar to, I guess, what Mist Wraiths do, which, like, he's kind of the next... He's the evolution of a Mist Wraith, right?
Yes, we learned that. Yep,
but just like, damn, that's crazy.
It is. Well, I don't think it's like actually him like physically, you know, gonna go down and eat. I think he like kind of oozes apart, and you know, like he
like
surrounds it. Yeah, like the blob. Like, I'm not sure he's going in and munching down on anybody, but it definitely feels kind of like that. And I don't think we ever see it at this point. That happened, right? It's always like, the bodies are gone. It's like, where'd they go?
So he wants to take one of these assassins' bodies for his new form because this body is now all messed up and isn't going to last. And she is like, no, you're not going to do that. And he's like, well, you have to find something for me. Like, it's basically part of the contract. And
I have to serve you.
She says, like, okay, like, can you make it back? He's like, yeah, I'll make it back. She's like, I'll find something for you. And she uses her last bit of ATM in this fight, and then that's pretty much it. That's the end of chapter 2.
Yeah, scary position here, ending out right like we're down to that. We're out of our reserves of this ATM. So if we get into another fight with a Mistborn that has ATM, like, we're done. Right. I think that's kind of the takeaway there. Great fight. I think another really just good show of Sanderson's like mastery over the combat scenes. I really been reading a lot of different authors, and I just still come back to these books, and they're my favorite fight scenes. So fast paced, a lot of fun. All right,
it is.
Well, let's see what we got. What do you think?
Yeah, Second Breakfast didn't do it for us, so we're gonna have another snack to get us by. But yeah, I think you're absolutely right that it's good to be back. And like, he gave us that fight scene and a real good punch of the magic system at the beginning of this book, which was a good reward, right? Like, we've been, I mean, me specifically, you know, it's been 2.5 months since we
read,
right.
Really longer for our listeners if they're staying on course.
So it's been good to, I think it's good to see that, and good to have that kind of that good punch right at the beginning to remind us kind of how cool this is and what we're working with here. So
absolutely,
cool.
Yeah, loving it, man. Hell yeah. Well, cool. Well, yeah. For the sake of time and our awesome pace we're doing here, I say I'm down to jump into another snack, man. Let's do it.
Yeah. So, short snack. I think that the use of the word brethren here supports our idea that it is Terracemen dealing with the original quote-unquote Lord Ruler, this person that was gonna be, was on his way to Terrace into the mountains,
Right.
Looking for this basically well of Ascension is what we think, right? So,
right. I think it's the dissenter again, right? Deaf to my objections, blind to my
they are
discoveries.
deaf to my it's definitely got Quan written all over it, I feel like.
Written all over it. I love the writing, sorry, because it's like a journal, and the first passage is like written,
there you go.
You know, like it's good. Yeah, it's a good touch.
So yeah, I mean,
it's a good snack.
3 snacks. Breakfast, second breakfast, now 11 Z's if we're sticking with the Hobbit theme.
There you go. Yeah, you got it down. That's right.
And you know me. I know about my Hobbit's meals.
Yeah. You're the expert, subject matter expert.
And so we're jumping into chapter 3. Elend is working, we're in his perspective, he's working on his proposal. And I think, because he says something here about like, he's read as much, knows as much about politics as anybody, and I think he's arrogant as fuck for thinking that. He's like literally, in the grand scheme of things, he's like 12. I mean, he's like 20, 26 or whatever, but like he's an actual child.
Yes,
like,
exactly.
Just because you, and yes, the written word is a powerful thing, and you can read and read and read all day long, and
right,
and you can understand the concept, but until you try to do it in practice, like you actually don't really know.
No, I think that's a good point. And like also keeping in context too, like life expectancy in this universe is probably also low, but like medieval times, right? Like people aren't like really holding positions of power in their like 80s and 70s, right? Like not unless they're the Lord Ruler and they're thousands of years old because they're magically enhanced. So like I think it just is this funny thing, right, in retrospective, like our position of like you don't really know anything till you're much older and all this experience, but like back in the days, like Empire, I mean, like how old was Alexander the Great? Like I think he was like in his 20s, like when he covered
that's a good point.
All this land. So it's just funny because I think, but that goes to show why events kind of go that way, right? Because when you are younger, you just act differently. You have this confidence, you have this sense of invulnerability, right? Written all over Vin there. The youth, you don't get to that level of thinking. I mean, or just that vein of thinking until much later in life. So, no, absolutely right. Definitely arrogant, but I think it has to be rooted in his like youth, and his lack of perspective, maybe. So, I like it. That's funny.
So he's working on this proposal, and he's frustrated with the Parliament, which is part of the government he set up. So I don't know if the Parliament's the same thing as the Assembly.
I think it is. I think it is
the Parliamentary Council. I don't. But basically, he set this up for fairness. But he's starting to see kind of what I'm talking about here. How hard sharing power can be. Like he thinks he knows what's best, and he wants them to obviously go with his proposal, and he's frustrated that they're fighting him. And but for now, he's letting it go, and he's letting it do its thing. And they're basically bickering, this group, about what to do about Strath's approaching army. And he thinks the faction of people in the government that are on the surrender front, like they want to basically just surrender the city over to Strath, he thinks they're gaining ground in the Parliament.
Yeah,
and so this is where we first, I think, hear Elend is the king. That's his title, and I think that's wild, right? Like again, this basically a child in my mind is king of Wellllllll, and who knows how wide his sphere of influence and how big is his new empire. It seems like it's basically Wellllllll. Maybe some of the surrounding, maybe some of the surrounding central dominance a little bit, but it's certainly, and we'll find out some stuff here later about obviously other ruling parties that want to take some power for themselves.
Right. Yeah, it seems like it's kind of like a might makes right situation, really, for him. He's got. He's got the biggest lift on his side with having Vin, on his side. I think that's kind of part of it, but also like this possession is where his law is because he's the city is surrounded by 50,000 people. So I'm not sure how much power he really has outside of that at this point.
Right. Um, so we learn a little more about the government. There's 24 people on the assembly, and they're all men. So solid there. Love that.
Boo.
Don't love that. Just so everyone's very clear. Boo.
Yeah.
And he, as he's in his rooms here or his study, he can hear Vin on the roof. She's basically stalking around, protecting him, and he's starting to have some doubts, right? He's wondering if the Lord Ruler was right, and if the kingdom, because like at that time when the Lord Ruler was here, the kingdom was whole when he was in power.
Yeah. True.
And he's thinking that like his government is good in theory, but it has to last, right? Like obviously we've got Straff coming in, we've got other people that aren't happy, and so like if it's gonna be meaningful, it has to last. And
absolutely.
we get a perspective change back to Vin, and Vin basically still can't believe that the Lord Ruler's dead and that she's the one that killed him. She's still rocking her bruises from her fight and hanging on top of the palaces, or on top of the palace, which is Keep Venture. So they didn't take over Krennic Shaw, and that's not their base of operations. And so I think it goes to a question of like, what did they do with Krennic Shaw? Is it just sitting there? Did they repurpose it for something?
Good question.
Hopefully we'll see in the future.
That's a good question.
We learn there are dozens of warlords that are trying to take power and that are operating in the vacuum left behind by the Lord Ruler, and that none of them out in the greater empire have marched on Luthadel until now. #thanks Straff. And
right.
These warring factions outside are starting to consolidate or take over, and these warlords are consolidating their domains, and they're trying to now expand into other regions. And more info here, world building for where we are 1 year after the Lord Ruler's death. Every month, an assassin has tried to kill Elend, basically since he's taken power, and she finds and dispatches the assassin every time. And she's talking about how like it doesn't have to be a Mistborn to come and kill him. Like any blade can cut Elend. It's not always just going to be a Mistborn.
Yeah.
Another reminder is that Elend is only 23 years old, is the info that we get, and that Vin
is 19. I looked it up. Alexander the Great was 20 years old when he ascended, and he created the largest empire by the time he was 30. Sorry, just fun history fact there.
It's wild.
I mean,
it is wild,
but it's happened. In real life.
I know.
Situations, I think it's just interesting. Crazy times.
It is wild to think about being that young and having so much power. I don't know. What I was doing when I was 23 was not.
I was not fit. I was not fit for that kind of power. Yeah. I'll be straight up. I was a hooligan.
Crazy.
It is crazy.
So she's still thinking Ellen's the best man she ever knew. Even over Kelsier, and she's surprised by Ellen's love for her. So I think some self-deprecation of like, how could he love me? Why does he love me? And she's having these thoughts of the Watcher, and he didn't come kill Ellen while she was being attacked. Instead, he helped her. And so I think it goes back to like, he's clearly more interested in her. And have we seen or even heard of him actually attacking Elend up to this point? No. Like, she says that she's chased him off, but like, it doesn't sound like he actually came close to Elend, and at least not that she's told us yet.
Right. He's very mysterious.
The Watcher. And so Vin's worried someone may use now, after these other assassins, to attack Elend. That's kind of why she's hanging out here at Keep Venture. We're reminded that Vin can pierce copper clouds, and she doesn't really know why she can. And Marsh, who we hadn't heard up to this point yet, she had heard from him or learned from him that Steel Inquisitors can in fact pierce copper clouds, and she also thinks that the Lord Ruler could when he was alive.
So it's not just unique to her, but like no one else just really knows that they can do it. I think it's like this, like maybe misinformation that's strategic, or I mean, it's very strategic actually if you think about it. Yeah, but yeah, it's interesting. Good catch.
So she couldn't do it tonight, right? Like there was this obviously copper cloud going, and she didn't know that other stuff was going on, that this Mistborn was hiding, and so she doesn't know, like, hey, why tonight couldn't I pierce it, but in the past I could, and so there's just a lot of mystery. And she's thinking about the morning that she killed the Lord Ruler, and she was able to, at that time, and we kind of talked about it, I think, at the time, that she was able to pull something from the mist, right? She had some kind of power, some kind of energy, some kind of source that she was pulling off of. It wasn't the metals, it wasn't the stuff around her in the room, it was the mist itself that she was using to gain strength and power. And she hasn't told anybody about this.
Right.
You know, whether she doesn't want them to think she's a crackpot, or she doesn't, you know, she's not ready to, who knows, but she still hasn't, you know, I guess, moved that forward to the group yet.
Yeah, very interesting. I think she was out of metal at the time, and it was just the mist that fueled her power, which is very, very weird. No other really precedent for it so far in the book, so don't understand it at all. But the mist's always been kind of interesting with Vin, so.
Yes, absolutely, swirling around her in ways that I don't think they necessarily swirl around other Mistborns or Mistdeans. Right. And so she is having some similar thoughts to what Ellen had in Chapter 1, where she's upset that Kelsier's gone. He was the one with the plan. But she also is feeling like maybe she feels abandoned, right? Like he left her and she has some abandonment issues. Or, you know, she's thinking like maybe she just isn't as good as him. She doesn't really understand these upset feelings she's having about him being gone, but she just knows that she's upset. And then we get into some very interesting stuff here, where she senses something in the night. There's a copper cloud, and there's these bronze pulses emanating, and she can't really tell what else there was in the pulses, whether it's iron or pewter. You know, there's some kind of weird pulse that she's feeling that she really hasn't felt before, and it feels very close, like it's like right in front of her, but her eyes are deceiving her, right? She doesn't see anything, and so she's like, well, this can't be, you know, like it's got to be something. And then right in the mist, right in front of her, the shape of a human forms, and it takes it uses the mist as an outline to form its own body. Yeah. Like it's not like a human materializing in the flesh. It's like this weird
ethereal,
misty, ethereal outline.
Yeah, right. Very interesting.
And she at first is thinking, oh, you know, maybe it's the Watcher, I don't know. And so she jumps back and realizes it's not the Watcher. It stepped one step forward towards her, and she shoots a coin at it, and it disappeared. So
she's here, like,
you know, so it's interesting. You know, we've got the Watcher, we don't know who it is, and now we've got Mist Boy. I'm calling this.
Mist Boy. I love it. Yeah, Misty Boyz. Yeah, perfect.
And so we get a perspective change.
Back to Ellen.
And we're back to Ellen. He's got a letter from his papa, and you know, he basically says that, you know, the Straff Venture says to Ellen in this letter, you know, I trust that you've enjoyed seeing after the Venture interests in Wellllllll. I have secured the Northern Dominance, which is where they're from, like their homeland and where they still have farmland is in the Northern Dominance. So he went there and secured that area, and that he will be shortly returning back to Wellllllll, to their keep, and you may turn over the city to me at that time.
Wow.
King Straff Venture.
King.
And in my notes, I just put, what a douche.
Yeah, for sure.
What a real douche.
He is a douche.
And so Ellen's thinking that Straff is the most dangerous of all the noblemen, and that he's an imperialist at heart, and that, you know, basically the Lord Ruler's death is nothing but an opportunity to Straff. Obviously, he's signing his letter as king, and yeah, it's just what a great dad, you know.
He's the worst.
Solid father figure in Ellen's life. So Vin jumps, or I guess falls, into the room from the skylight, and Ellen's, makes a joke about like, or at least thinks about like, why doesn't she use the balcony? There's a balcony right there. She could just walk in. And I was thinking, okay, the skylight, she falls in. What happens when it rains?
Yeah,
like it just is the skylight just
open all the time,
or did she open some kind of window or like some
sneak through it? Probably, yeah. I mean, ash is always falling, so then there would be ash like all over the room.
Yeah, I guess it doesn't even rain. Yeah, that's a great point. What happens when it ashes?
Yeah, right. Well, I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's gotta rain maybe a little bit. Rain, ash. Hard saying not. We'll see.
Yeah. So Vin immediately goes to work as his bodyguard, as Ellen's bodyguard. She jumps in the closets, looking under the bed. She does this basically pretty frequently. She's always on high alert around him. And Ellen is not used to this side of her, the nervous, furtive, Mistborn side. Right. He's still kind of used to, the Lady Valette that he met. And Vin tells Ellen about the Watcher tonight. But she also, after, after some, I guess, pressure from Ellen, what she saw in the mist, like he could tell there's something else. And she tells him about something up on the roof, basically. And Ellen responds, and it's just like, yeah, I mean, listen, you're tired. You're tired. You can't be staying up all day and then all night protecting me. Like you need to sleep. You're seeing things. Is how I feel like that's going. He doesn't come out and say it, but he does say like you do need to get some rest.
Yeah, right.
This is where we found out that he proposed to her in the recent past, and she said no.
I know, which is so interesting.
Oh my god, that's the guy's worst nightmare.
Yeah, big time.
And Vin tells him about the last bit of atium that she burned, which is the last bit of atium in the entire Elend-run kingdom. They have not found more, and she used the last of it. And they don't know where the Lord Ruler's stash is. They are now broke, right? There's not a lot of money in the city. They're defenseless against other Mistborn burning atium.
Right.
And, we don't know, did it go somewhere? Is it still hidden somewhere? Did the Lord Ruler actually use it all? Like, he burned it all up himself? And
right.
Who knows? Kelsier has destroyed the pits in the past, right? Like, we saw him do that. And so what has been mined up to this point is supposedly all that's left.
Right.
She tells Ellen that he just needs to tell the Parliament what to do. He's the king, and she doesn't really understand or I feel like grasp his political goals and the ideas that he wants for a better way forward and a more democratic solution. And Vin put on a little perfume for Ellen, ooh la la. Yeah, and she gets annoyed when he doesn't notice her scent. So this is, I feel like, that the womanly side of her that has that desire to be in those dresses and be at those balls and to be a lady is coming out.
Right.
So it's kind of cool to see her explore her femininity.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's cool. And so she basically, just like a cat, curls up on the rug in her mist cloak and like in front of his desk and to sleep and rest. And it's like, I mean, there's probably 100 things I could think of that would be a little more comfortable. Yeah. It's still, but okay. So Hamnox, he's now the captain of the guard. But the rule was if he becomes the captain, yes, he doesn't have to wear a uniform. And his wife, I'm guessing, is Mardra.
Mardra, yeah.
Mardra, yeah.
Oh, Mardra. Mardra has the R in there, yeah, totally.
And
it's like Martha.
We hear a little bit about him and Mardra, and he identified the assassins tonight that Vin took out as Westerners, possibly sent by Ashweather. Is it Ket or Set?
Set. Yeah, Ashweather Set. It's for sure Set.
Ashweather Set.
Yeah.
Who has set himself up as king in the Western dominance, and that the assassins were of houses Gardre and Conrad, possibly out of Fadre or Fadrix City.
Yeah, Fadrix City. Yeah, nice.
Fadrix City.
Yeah, so we haven't really seen any.
No, that's all new.
It's all very foreign.
That's all new. Now, Lord Renault and the Lady Valette were supposed to have been, I think, out of the Western Dominance, if I remember correctly.
I think,
don't know. I don't know that we've seen these names. I can search it later and see if we do or have heard them.
I'm pretty confident we haven't seen the set yet. I know the name.
Okay.
We definitely haven't seen it yet. I'm excited to see it.
So, Straff is based out of Urto. That's
Urto.
like their historical homeland, and it's not likely him, those areas where those houses are in Fadric City is very far from Urto, and he would have had to really have spent a lot of months traveling that way, recruiting assassins, and then get them to Luthadel. And so Ellen thinks everyone is just after the ATM. He doesn't really think that they really care about the city or the people, or he thinks everyone just wants the ATM.
Yeah. Right.
And Ham is shocked by the thought of a father sending people to kill his own son, despite Ellen being in this instance, he's literally said something like, yeah, that's him. That's my dad. He does that sometimes.
Yeah.
And Ham is just incredulous, right?
He's
his philosophical side's coming out.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
He starts to think about Straff's mind and wants to start going down the philosophical rabbit hole. And Ellen has to stop him and send him out and be like, "Hey, man,
I don't got time.
I ain't got time for this today."
Yeah.
Ellen tells him, "Hey, get the crew together." And who's all on the crew? We still don't know. Is it just the original crew, or their new additions, or some of his friends that from these other houses, the ones that are still alive? Are they in it? Who knows?
Right.
And Ham calls Ellen El, which is cute.
Yeah. I like
kind of. I mean, more of a mentor and a friendly role than some other people we're going to see here shortly.
Yes.
And
100%.
Ellen's kind of talking about how everything's kind of fallen apart and how times are desperate, and Ham jokes that they could be facing an immortal god and all of his all-powerful priests instead. Great joke. And they kind of bid goodbye, and Ham calls Ellen Majesty.
Yeah. Which is nice. 3. Yeah, it is nice. I just love the Ham Ellen combo. Ham El. I'm here for it. Great chapter. I think getting to see a little bit more of the Empire here, right? We're getting more information about the world and getting outside of Luthadel, which I think the first book is so focused on. Luthadel, the pits, not that far from here. We're getting this kind of exactly. Here we're getting this big picture stuff, right? Northern dominance, Straff's kind of got that unlocked. Western dominance, this guy Set, whether Set is kind of dealing with that. So we got two more options, right? What's going on out there, and we're going to get a little bit more of that here in the next chapter, but with some other perspectives. But yeah, I like this one a lot. Getting to kind of look at Ellen in his new role and the challenges that he's facing and his perspective. So it's cool.
Great, yeah, some great world building and setting us up, I think, for this book. What's going on? Where's everybody? Where's everyone's mind at? How are they feeling about things? And
right.
I think it's good to have some tiebacks to just because the year's gone by and the Lord Ruler's dead, everyone still has these problems, right?
Right.
Ellen has daddy issues, and Vin has Kelsier mentor abandonment issues, and everyone's still working through their stuff. So
definitely
good reminders.
Yeah, it's that self-deprecation, that worthy thing, I think she's still struggling with it, the worthiness of being with Ellen, right? Why would she reject his proposal? But she still loves him, and she clearly still does.
Sure.
And she says as much to herself, in the perspective. But, that's interesting, and I wonder where that's coming from. So we'll have to unpack that and see. But yeah, let's dive into the next one.
Chapter 4, we're going to keep this steamroller rolling. Whew. So... we're cruising. And after this episode's out, feel free to shoot us some messages, give us some comments, and we'll have some posts up, obviously the day that this comes out. So just reach out to us if this format's good for you and you think that, 4 or 5 chapters at a time, doesn't necessarily, basically this amount of content, if we get the same amount of content in 2 chapters, we'll cover 2 chapters, right?
Right.
but we do want to move a little quicker. It's going to help us in our personal lives, and it's going to, I think, help you guys read quicker and be able to enjoy the book a little more. So if that's cool with you, let us know. If you're having problems with it, let us know. We're not opposed to, I think, changing if we need to. So
yeah, definitely.
We want to find that good balance of what's good for us and what's good for you, and that's that perfect silver lining. So just reach out.
Yeah, reach out.
So
all right.
Another snack here. Quan is our guy here, right? That's who we were thinking this was. And
there's the name. Okay.
And there's the name of the guy who was supposed to be,
I didn't want to say
who was trying to be
Alendi.
basically this Lord Ruler, Alendi. And so Quan was the guy who originally found Alendi and then backed off and was like, no, he's not our savior. And then Rashek was just one of the packmen that was helping them. Yeah, that ended up taking Alendi's place and was the Lord Ruler. So super cool scene here. We are with Sazed.
Oh yeah,
getting into the main meal here. I guess that'd be lunch.
Yeah, lunchtime.
At 11, so lunchtime. Yeah. We've got Sazed, and he's in the Eastern Dominance, and he's studying a dead body. We get some names that are probably going to be throwaway names. Sorry, villagers. But Tur is a villager here. He tells Sazed that this dead body, was standing, in his field, stiffened, and then just fell. Wiggled on the ground a little bit, kind of like a seizure, and now he's dead. And Sazed has his medical copper mind. I love that he's starting to basically name them, or just the first that we're hearing it. So this one's all for medical information.
Right.
And so this is where he only stores his medical books and all his medical thoughts and experience. So cool.
It's like a file in the computer. So
yes.
I really like it.
Yeah. Oh no, it is. And computing, so Jed's the dead guy and was working in this field, and all the lords in this region have gone, and we don't really know where they've gone. Did the Ska rise up and kill them, and are these even Ska? Because we didn't at first at the first part of this chapter, we don't really get that. It's field workers, but do we know that they're Ska? Are there field workers in this empire, or what used to be in the
Eastern Dominance,
the final empire that were just regular citizens or regular townsfolk that were farming? Who knows, right?
Right.
And so that he's saying that Tur saying that there was mist coming up during the day, which made Tur stop. And when he saw the mist wrap around Jed, he saw this, and he saw Jed freeze and basically just drop. And Sazed
mist did something.
Had some kind of his own experience several weeks before, and he doesn't really go into too much detail about exactly what that experience was. But something kind of similar has happened to him. And we get a little bit of a time warp to Sazed now digging Jed's grave all by himself. And he's got his pewter mind with him for some strength for the task. And we get Sazed's description, which, just as a reminder, he's got his head shaved. And that's because of his station in life for his first 40 or something years.
Yeah.
So how old is he now? Don't know. And he has used his uses his religion's copper mind for some theology here, to kind of have something from this region, from past religions, to say or to do in honor of this guy. And we learn that if he takes something out of a metal mind, he can forget it after a while. So he has to put it back in almost like a library book when he's done using it.
Yeah.
That way he can always remember. So if he takes it out and then he forgets to restore that, he can't store, of course, all this information himself in his own mind. And so if he doesn't put it back, he's going to forget it. And so I thought that was a kind of a cool thing.
Yeah, me too.
And so basically, as Sazed is doing this religious ceremony, he's filling the dirt back in. We learn that the Eastern Dominance is the most chaotic and unsettled of the 5 inner dominances currently. And we get this quote from Sazed. From Sazed? Or is it? I don't know. I have it quoted here. I'll just read it and then we can talk about who it's from. It was hard to believe that anything could be worse than the Lord Ruler's oppression. Sazed told himself that these people's pain would pass, that they would someday know prosperity because what he and the others had done. Yet he had seen farmers forced to slaughter each other. He had seen children starve because of some, what is that?
Despot. Like a despot. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Had requisitioned a village's entire food supply. He had seen thieves kill freely because the Lord Ruler's troop no longer patrolled the canals. He had seen chaos, death, hatred, and disorder. And he couldn't help but acknowledge that he was partially to blame. So, we're seeing, I think, as part of this vacuum, a lot of suffering and a lot of uncertainty. And you can kind of see that as we get into the rest of this chapter and some of the next chapter. Here the peasants, they jump in, they help them. These ska, we think.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, I think they're ska, yeah.
And we find out that terracemen are the most expensive, most useful, and most prestigious of all the servants in the Final Empire. But that means little now. And Tor asks about the branch that Sazed, gets off the basically the brush or the bush nearby and put on the grave. And Sazed brings up religion, and Tor asks if it is from the Steel Ministry. And Sazed has to explain, no, it's from the before times. And this is where I'm really determining for myself, I think, as I was reading, that these people were ska.
Yeah.
And this is where I think, to relate it back to that quote I read, these people were all in, right, on the Lord Ruler.
Yeah.
And Tor's asking, when was the Lord Ruler coming back? Why did he abandon us, right? That's all they've known in life is this religion and this guy that was so awful to them. And so it's just, I think, it's just an interesting thing to think about how, you're doing something for good and to improve these people's lives, but they don't necessarily see it that way. They had been taught of religion, and you've toppled their religious leader, their God, and they're not just instantly going to be like, oh my God, thank you,
Yeah, right.
And so we get this last quote, or I don't think it's a quote from the book that I quoted that I want to say is that the keeper spent 1,000 years gathering and memorizing the dying religions of the world, Sazed thought. Who would have thought that now, with the Lord Ruler gone, people wouldn't care enough to want what they'd lost?
Yeah.
And he kind of gives up on teaching them religion and decides to teach them some practical things that they can, use with their hands or whatever,
right,
to make themselves, have a hopefully better life. So, just kind of interesting. I don't know if you guys can hear the fire trucks in the background, but that'll be a fun little
bonus soundtrack.
Fun little bonus. Yeah. We're real good with sound effects on this Shards and Shenanigans podcast.
Yeah, we come to play. Yeah, no, I think this is a great chapter. I think it's very mysterious, right? That's where it ends right there for chapter 4. Really mysterious with the mist, right? Just really kind of building more of this ambience of the whole what is the mist, right? There's so many questions really about it. There's this mist figure, it's the nature of it usually only coming out at night. Why is it here during the day? That's very strange. This person dies apparently associated to the mist, and Sazed's investigating that medically. I just think that that is very weird, and something that
what's he even out? What's he doing out here, right?
Yeah, right. Well, good question.
Is he just on this journey to find medical anomalies? Who's tasked him with what purpose?
Yeah, right. What is Sazed up to? Yeah, no, good question, and I'm glad we get to see him because I'm a Sazed fan. But yeah, what's really going on? And we don't really get that answer yet. That's not something we know. So yeah, pretty cool. Well, what do you think, buddy? How did you like it?
Yeah, I mean, I think you hit the nail on the head. There's more questions than answers. And what is he doing? What's going on with the myths? And then I think just as a good reminder, the perspective from the people on the ground, the ska, who have lost kind of everything, and they think it's, the rulers abandoned them, right? Like their lord and savior. So
yeah, right.
Yeah, just interesting.
It is interesting, right? Yeah, they definitely don't have this like Survivor kind of undercurrent, right? Where we're getting like in other parts coming up here, where there's people that are kind of more in line with a Survivor. Definitely at the end of the last book, right? Like people start to look at him that way, and Vin kind of considers it that way. But yeah, I don't want to get too ahead of myself. But we're going to see it right here in the next chapter. So, yeah.
Chapter 5, we're going to rip. So we're right into the snack. If this is still from Quan's perspective, he's the one who betrayed him. For I know that he must never be allowed to complete his quest. So why? What does Quan know? Like, why can't Alindi
complete his quest? Yeah,
complete his quest. And like, was Quan, was Rashek the better option? And like, it's just kind of an interesting of like, where did he come up with this? And clearly, maybe that's important to know, and maybe we'll find out. Hopefully,
yeah, this is very interesting. A lot of questions on the snack, but yeah, I think I'm ready for the meal.
So afternoon tea. Here we go. So we're going to rip through this chapter because we're short on time, but I do want to finish it because I think it's a cool spot to leave off.
Yeah, me too.
So Vin, she's walking through the streets of the city. The people are on edge. They're frightened about the impending army. And lots of people have left the city, lots of noblemen and merchants, but lots of ska from the surrounding area have fled to the city because of Elend's promise of a better life. And the markets here are now bustling. There's jugglers in the crowds, and they're all trying to sell their wares. And so 8 city gates that surround the city into Luthadel have been barred by Ellend. So anyone that wanted to get out, they've missed their opportunity. Right. And we're protecting ourselves from the approaching army. And so she's having lots of flashbacks to her childhood and her time as a street urchin, and she feels that things are just so different now than when she was going through it. And so generally, she feels that ska and street urchins have a better life now than before, like now under Elend's rule. And like while there still are noblemen in the city, some have stayed for business or other, others for gain, that kind of stuff. They're not necessarily treating the ska like they did because of the new laws and rules that Ellen has put in place. And so Vin wonders if she would be considered a noblewoman, right? Like, she's basically engaged to the king. She's the daughter to a nobleman. She was trained by the survivor of Hatson, who's basically the new god. And
yes,
so she's having these thoughts, right? And she's thinking about her mom's bronze earring, and she keeps bringing that up. And I just wonder if that metal specifically is going to have some kind of bigger role to play. And
she just call out the type of metal that it is. Yeah, that's bronze. I think it's interesting.
We get the recap that Vin's mom killed Vin's full sister and stabbed the earring into Vin before Reen pulled Vin away and saved her. We haven't had any new Reen flashbacks yet. I think that's good. And Vin stopped here in the marketplace outside of a dress shop. She's reminiscing about the balls, that she misses that kind of stuff. But she's thinking that now is not the time for such things. And that, if she were to go in there and buy something, she's not spending Kelsier's money, which was no big deal for her. She's spending the kingdom's money now, and it's the people's money.
Right.
And she thinks that Ellen doesn't need the Valette version of her. He needs a protector. He needs a Mistborn. He needs Vin.
Yeah.
So kind of cool thoughts that she's having.
I agree.
And someone's tailing her here in the marketplace, and we discover, more people are tailing her, and they all kind of catch up to her, and she recognizes them, and they are priests of the survivor from the church of the survivor. And a woman's like, touch my child, protect my child, keep them safe. And Vin just does not know what to do, doesn't want to be here.
She's overwhelmed.
And she's got nothing to guide these people, right? Yeah. Kelsier didn't leave any instructions past, hey, this is how you're going to try to tear down the empire, right? He didn't really leave a roadmap on this is how we're going to build it back up. No doctrine is in place. And so she is...
they all call her the Lady Air. She's like, don't call me that. She's really uncomfortable.
Please don't do that. And These people think that, she's basically going to stop the army herself at the city gates, Straff's army that's coming. Yeah. And she basically doesn't really answer their questions, kind of, touches the child real quick, and then she's out of there and she rushes out and they don't follow her.
Yeah.
So interesting perspective of, the people kind of latching onto her as this next, almost like a, I don't know, like a, not deity, but like if Kelsier's was the Lord, their new Lord, like their new God, she is like, this apostle, or like
for sure, holy,
the prodigal son,
holy figure,
daughter, like,
absolutely, Saint,
but I think
Saint Vin.
My favorite part of this entire first 5 chapters is right here, where Vin is going puppy shopping.
Yes, dude, I love this. I'm so excited about it.
So she's at this dog breeder in the marketplace, and I instantly thought of she's looking for this puppy, and for whatever reason, I was thinking of the Princess Donut voice
nice.
coming up. Like I don't know why, but so she's looking for a pup, and she this guy that's selling everything is trying to get her a cuddly puppy, but she wants a wolfhound.
Yeah,
and he's not convinced, and she finally runs into the pins herself, points at the one that she wants. Because he had originally brought out like this kind of runt of the litter wolfhound after she convinced him, and she's like, "This is not what I want." She storms in, points at the one she wants.
Biggest, baddest, meanest looking one.
Biggest dog, and he calls it a watch beast.
Yeah.
And she just comes up and clocks this dog. And I was like, "Oh my god, what is happening? Like, we can't be hitting dogs, Finn."
Yeah, I know. Like, well, it kind of growls at her, and it kind of like intimidates her and stuff. Yeah.
And she clocks it, and the dog basically passes out and picks it up and carries it away, and this is her new puppy, right? And so I love the one line here where Sanderson adds like, the man looked at her and scratched himself in several undignified places, as like, I just think that's really cool.
Yeah,
and her musing of like, this thing better not drool on me.
Yeah, right. That was funny.
So she's back at Keep Venture. The guards are giving her strange looks, but she's used to that now. And she comes up to Orsoor, and we discover that her idea is that this dog is Orsoor's new body. Orsoor's going to be a doggy.
Because she didn't want it to be a person. She didn't like that idea, but it's like, you can be a dog.
He even himself was like, "I am a man."
He's
right?
against
like,
it. Yeah, he's very.
And she's like, "No, you're a Khandra."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh gosh, the tension is real here." And so her thinking is that people pay less attention to dogs, and that this is going to make for a great spy, and someone that's going to be able to slink around and be go unnoticed. And she has to command the Khandra to do anything per the contract, so she has to basically command him like, eat the dog. And she's got a new note there, and she's kind of frustrated that Orsoor didn't tell her about it, but she never commanded him to do that per the contract. And so there's a new medal. So we've got Duralumin. Duralumin, thanks.
Yeah, that's okay.
It's aluminum.
I only got it because they pronounced it in the
audiobook.
Yeah.
So aluminum and 4% copper is
alloy duralumin.
Duralumin. So it's an alloy, and we learn that there's a new guy, Tyrion.
Tyrion. Yeah,
is a master of allomantic. He's like a master allomantic metallurgist, and so he's been helping Vin with this project, and they've gone through lots of previous iterations that have all been duds. And Vin knows that there's another metal out there, and we'll get more on that here in just a second. So Vin walks in on Ellen and Doc's talking. Doc's was, I guess, recently in Terrace, and said it was super cold there, but we don't really get what he was doing there. And we do get the little bit where Dox and Ellen don't like each other, and they kind of just seem to be placating each other. And we learned that Ellen's study here is just surrounded with books, very Ellen-esque, and that his big speech is tomorrow, probably with the Parliament. And so Dox basically takes his leave from the group and confirms, hey, like, you got the speech tomorrow, and we've got the city defense meeting tomorrow. And like Ellen confirms everything, and he pieces out. And then Vin is now trying to convince Ellen that Dox is a good guy. And, Ellen's not so sure. He says, he looks at me funny. And he kind of changes the subject. Ellen doesn't want to talk about this.
Right.
And he says that, oh, Vin, you look so good in red. Like, that color's good on you. And he comments on her perfume. And she's like, Ellen, that's the smell of dog. And he goes, oh, thank God. Like, I thought you'd gone crazy. But it's him trying to, be observant and be a good, because, she gets mad if he doesn't know that she's trying out a new perfume. So,
funny.
Vin describes Orsur's new dog body, and Ellen's all about it. But Vin, during this whole conversation, still senses the tension that Ellen is holding, and she's worried about him. And they kind of go back and forth here, have some silly banter, some musings. And Ellen is basically saying, hey, I want Orsur to be with you at all times. Like, if you're leaving here, you got to take Orsur.
Like, you use him for what he's good for. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, right. Like, Kelsier set up this great person and has this great contract for you. You need to use it. And Vin does not like Orsur. Like, he ate Kelsier. She's weirded out by him. But she eventually reluctantly agrees to Ellen's request here. But she does say that she can tell that Orsur does not like her.
Yeah, right.
So it's kind of a little back and forth between them. And so Ellen's been having issues sleeping. And Vin, basically he's nervous about Vin going out at night is what we're, I guess, working off of here. Like, that's part of why he can't sleep. Also, he's, the new king and there's an army outside. Probably lots of reasons.
Yeah, probably lots going on.
And he's not thinking that he's doing a good job, and he compares himself to Kelsier, saying, like, I'm not as good as Kelsier would have been. Like, maybe Kelsier would have... Everyone's comparing themselves and their situation to when Kelsier was around.
Right,
like,
yeah, totally.
And so they kind of have this weird back and forth, him and Vin, about why Vin didn't pick Kelsier to love.
Yeah.
Even though he was, 22 years older than she was.
Yeah, right. Very
which
strange.
is, disgusting. And I was like, Vin talks about, the frightening things that Kelsier would do and how Ellen is a truly good person. And I kind of, hearken this back to, she's thinking, oh, Ellen's, this lawful good. And Kelsier is more of maybe a chaotic good or even a chaotic neutral.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And
I think chaotic good leaning for sure. You like to help the ska, mainly focus on the good of the ska, right? Not the good of all people. Which is that chaos comes through.
And then just, to rip through the last little bit, Ellen retells the tale of Kelsier saving his life in the square, and how despite killing nobles, he saved Ellen because he knew that Vin loved him. And Ham pops in, and Vin tells Ham all about the new metal, and Vin's like, this is super important work, I have to do this, and Ellen is not about it. He's like, Vin thinks this new metal is basically a secret that's been kept by the ministry, or by, for some reason it's been hidden, and Ellen's like, this is useless, you gotta stop doing this. And aluminum burning by itself had the effect of Vin's other metal reserves being stripped away, and we saw this in Credit Shaw when the Steel Inquisitors forced her to that.
Right.
And no one really even knew about that until she did that, right? Until they were there doing it. And so the reminder that allomantic metals come in pairs, but we don't have a pair yet for the aluminum, and that's what we're trying to figure out.
Alloy of aluminum. Yeah, exactly. So it has to have aluminum and another metal. Yeah.
Sure. And so this is the fifth one that she's trying so far. The other 4 times have made her sick for days each time she tried one, with blinding headaches.
Right.
And Vin says that Clubs, first mentioned, says that Straff won't attack for a few days, so she's got some time to try this even if it gets her sick.
Yeah.
So she burns it. Nothing happens. We get no reaction. We don't think that anything has happened. No noticeable new powers.
But no sickness noticed either, which is interesting.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Terion, the metallurgist, has 40 different alloys that he can think of to make. And Vin is glad that they found this one after only the 5th try.
Yeah. Cool.
And then to wrap it out, Ham is basically like, hey, Vin, let's go spar. Vin's like, Ellen, let's go spar. He doesn't want to go, but he's going to go watch. And she says that he can barely hold a sword and is terrible with the dueling cane. And Ellen just claims like, oh, I'm too busy for that. And I don't want you to embarrass me. I don't want, like, a girl to beat me up, blah, blah, blah. And I just put that, he is an idiot.
Yeah, so, classic. Yeah, Ellen is an idiot. Yeah, and then we wrap it out. That's it.
That's it, man. Chapter 5.
Wow. Powered through in an hour.
We did.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, we'll see what the edit time comes down to. But yeah, what an awesome first 5 chapters. So excited about, I'm so excited about Orsira's new body. Like Vin having, like this like dog. We'll see kind of what goes on with that. But I'm stoked about it. A reminder that like Orsir can't kill anybody as well is like another thing that comes up. So I think the dog is like so much utility with that they talk about, and I really like that aspect and all that thought process. I love the testing of the new metals and like the learning of the magic system. It's a lot of fun. So yeah, I had a blast. Happy to be back. Looking forward to, next week with y'all as we keep diving through, Mistborn Book 2, Season 2 of Shards and Shenanigans. Any final thoughts there, Kyle?
Just, I'll just wrap it up by saying super glad to be back. Glad to be recording. Glad to be doing this with you again. Glad to hopefully be interacting with some of the listeners online and see kind of their perspectives and where they're at. So, good first 5 chapters of the book. I think some good world building, and at the end of the day, just good to be back. So
absolutely. And just in case you thought I would forget, huge shout out out there to our moms. Thanks, moms. Thanks, moms. Thanks for listening, and thanks to all of our folks that are listening, picking this up again. We really appreciate that your engagement and your willingness to give us a shot. So we appreciate that. And thank you.
Thanks for rushing through. Thank you. Thanks for rushing through that one with us. Like I said, we're going to try to pick up the pace a little bit, read some more, and we might not always cruise through it as fast as we did today. We had a little bit of a time constraint, so hopefully we'll slow down a little bit for you in the future. But super happy to have you guys. And again, let us know your opinions on this episode when it comes out. So.
Yeah, looking forward to it. All right, everybody, take care. Brush your hair. Misty Boyz, heading out.
Love you guys. Bye.
Bye.